Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopath Fiona Chin, and I'm joined today by the beautiful Emily Cahill, who is part of our Kidney Coach team. She is answering all your emails if you send any email about our products Cogenesis. She also writes all our Facebook posts and helps me. In fact, she writes half of the articles on thekidneycoach.com. Emily is a qualified nurse. She works at a large cardiovascular hospital here in Melbourne, Australia, and she's also a fully qualified naturopath specialising in cancer and all things kidney disease. Welcome back, Emily. It's always good to have you on board.
Thank you for having me again.
No worries. So we thought today we would cover the topic of exercise and the importance of exercising and chronic kidney disease, because I guess one of the things, and you can tell me in the emails, but what we find is people love the program and the supplements because people are looking a bit for a magic bullet. And people are pretty good at doing the alkalizing diet and things like that. But the thing that I think people find the hardest is actually to get some movement and exercise in there. And so we definitely wanted to talk about why exercise is so important and the benefits that has to chronic kidney disease, and hopefully inspire you to get out and about into the wilderness and go for a walk or pick up a weight or whatever that is. So why don't we start there, Emily? And why do we say that exercise is so important when it comes to chronic kidney disease? Like, what's the benefits to people for actually going and doing some exercise?
Yeah, so I mean, exercise, really, I don't think you could find one health condition that exercise isn't beneficial for. And so definitely in kidney disease as well. But I guess some of the key benefits when we're thinking more so about the kidneys is the way that exercise can reduce inflammation in the body. We've spoken before about the role of inflammation in kidney disease, but as well cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and most other chronic illnesses too. It helps to reduce blood pressure. So when I'm talking about exercise with clients, yes, I'm definitely talking about it and its role in kidney disease, but we know that the large majority of people with kidney disease also have cardiovascular disease, and that they're actually more likely to die from a cardiovascular condition than they are from their kidney disease. So we've also got to think about the benefits that exercise has in cardiovascular health as well. Can help with cholesterol levels, so particularly it increases levels of our good cholesterol, our protective cholesterol, HDL, and also even changes the nature of cholesterol, so it makes our cholesterol more healthy as well. It helps with immune function, it helps with bone density as well, which is really important for people with kidney disease because they're at higher risk of bone mineral density issues. Reduces stress. Improves things like sleep, and yeah, there's been a lot of studies in exercise in terms of cardiovascular health. So the studies generally show that it's got about a 35% reduction in coronary artery disease, reduces the risk of stroke, reduces the risk of heart attack, lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes, and just general when they look at mortality from any cause, so death from any reason, it lowers that risk by about 30% as well.
Yeah, that's a lot. So that's a super good reason to exercise. And what about this? There's some specific studies of kidney disease and exercise. What are they saying?
Yeah, so it's when they've looked at the risk of developing kidney disease, people who exercise are at lower risk of developing kidney disease in the first place, but also when we look at the progression of kidney disease, so it reduces the progression, it reduces the risk that people are going to move from stage 1 kidney disease to stage 5. It's also, they've done a fair bit of studies in people on dialysis as well, and I think this is definitely a cohort of patients that find it difficult to exercise and that I often find are not necessarily exercising. But in those studies, even increasing daily activity by 10 minutes reduced mortality by 22%. So, we're not even talking about, I think sometimes when people think of exercise, it's, I've got to do large chunks of exercise to get benefits, but that's not actually the case. So it improves muscle mass in people on dialysis, reduces the risk of falls, helps with blood pressure and that stiffness of arteries as well. So looking after cardiovascular health too, and slows the rate of kidney function decline.
Yeah, so they're all, I mean, 20%, that's, when it comes to stats of dialysis and things like that, that obviously keeps people alive, but 20% for just 10 minutes of movement seems like a no-brainer to me. And then there's all the other benefits of exercise, like reducing cognitive decline, and it boosts your immune system. You mentioned bone density and the risk of falls, improved sleep quality, all of those sort of things. So, when we're talking about exercise for, say, people that are doing dialysis, what types of exercise would you be suggesting?
So some form of aerobic type exercise, and just by that, like just walking, doesn't have to be anything particularly strenuous. Obviously, often people on dialysis have other symptoms as well that we need to think about, like shortness of breath. They might have fluid retention and things like that. So definitely some form of aerobic type exercise, but then also doing a bit of resistance type exercise as well. So just, light weights, because that's also going to help. Particularly one of the things that can happen in people on dialysis is that loss of muscle mass. And that's really a big risk factor for mortality as well, is when people start to lose that. So light weights, any kind of, resistance, so that they're using their muscles as well at the same time. I think they've done studies in people actually exercising kind of during their dialysis sessions,
really?
and doing things like using exercise bikes, and that's also been shown to reduce some of the side effects like muscle cramping and things like that during dialysis. But I know that it's not something that's commonly set up in dialysis units.
No, I'm going to have my dialysis while I ride the exercise bike. But how amazing would that be if we actually did things like that? Just simple little things that we could do to really improve outcomes for people. So if people aren't on dialysis and they're stages, say 1 to 3 or 4, what types of exercise, what other ways could people get up and moving?
I think the key thing, and I'm sure people have heard it before, but is finding something that you actually enjoy. So, if we're adding in a new habit into someone's day, there's nothing worse than dreading it or hating it. And that obviously means that people are much less likely to do it. So finding an activity that you enjoy, whether that be, going out bushwalking, hiking, dancing, anything like that. So I think anything that gets your heart rate up is important. So, and then as well, I think, people sometimes have the walking down pattern, that kind of aerobic type exercise, or swimming or anything like that. But then sometimes also forget that we do also need a bit of resistance exercise in there as well. And so by that, I mean some form of loading of our muscles. So whether that be using weights or squats or lunges, or, using your own body weight to actually put some stress on the muscles as well, because that's particularly what's going to help with maintaining muscle mass, as well as having benefits on, things like glucose utilization and insulin sensitivity and all of those things. So I think if you can get a combination of a couple of different types of exercise as well, so you're not doing the same thing every day. Our bodies get quite used to, if we do the same activity at the same intensity for the same duration all the time, that, the benefits sort of start to sort of don't increase. And then as well, I really like if people add in some sort of stretching or yoga or some kind of more mindful type exercise as well into the routine.
Yeah, I think that's great. And like you say, it's finding something that you love, so it's easy to become a habit or something that you integrate all the time. For me, I love lifting weights, which I know is a bit unusual, and I go and see my personal trainer 4 times a week. But because I've got an appointment, I go. Like if I was left to my own devices to go to the gym, not going to happen. But because movement, especially in things like MS, is so important for keeping up functionability, preventing falls, all of those sort of things. I tootle myself off to the gym. And you know, if that's something that you're able to do, the best bit about that, and what Emily talked about, is how our bodies get used to it. I was just at the gym today, so I'm on week 3 of a new gym cycle, and already things were easier than they had been the last 2 weeks. So, but because I've got a personal trainer there, he puts all my weights up and makes me plank for an extra 30 seconds, and then weight loads my plank and things that I wouldn't do myself. But that's just how you keep progressing and things like that. And I think too, doing something where you have a routine with it, you can see the progression. And if you're results-based brain like me, then you go and I'm like, wow, I'm like quite a bit stronger than last week. I've like upper body, I can lift 22% more than I did at the beginning of the year. Those kind of things help motivate me and keep me going. So whatever that is for you, that's super important, I think, as well. And what if people can't exercise? So what if people have had a bad fall, or they've got really bad osteoporosis, or maybe they're morbidly obese and then kidney disease is that way? Is there other things that people can do that would be useful?
Yeah, I guess firstly, one thing is, if you can, working with either an exercise physiologist or someone like that who can give you exercises that are more appropriate. So you can do exercises sitting in a chair, you know, you can do exercises lying down. So there are ways to alter that. The other thing as well is using saunas to try to get the similar type benefits that we get from exercise, that we do also get from saunas as well. So that could be a good place to start. And I think the key thing for particularly, anyone, particularly someone who's not exercised for a while, or if they do have injuries or anything like that, is start really small. Like, don't put your shoes on and try to go for an hour's walk, because A, you're probably not going to be able to do it. B, if you can do it, you're probably going to feel horrible for it the next day and not want to continue. So it really is about starting, start like 2 minutes. If 2 minutes is all you can do, start there, and then sort of build up really slowly over time.
Yeah, that's really good advice, because like you said right at the beginning, there's I can't tell you how often clients will be like, yeah, we're going to go exercise. And I had literally this happen on Tuesday. Yesterday, a client went out and went for I think he decided to, no, it was he decided to go for a run, but he went straight out and went for an hour run with no warm up and stuffed his ankle, and now he, rolled his ankle and can't move. And I'm like, oh. So yeah, start slow and within what you can do, and then work up slowly is a much better way of doing it. And then you won't feel awful the next day and then have a bad memory associated with exercise, because exercising done right should be fun. Like at the moment, like I literally just got back from the gym, as I was saying to you before we started the camera, and I've got my exercise endorphins running through me at the moment, feeling really good. So definitely for me, it definitely gives you that high, or that exercise high, when done properly, and that makes it easier to go back the next time, because you feel so good after you've done it. So okay, and are there any other tips that you want to mention with people with kidney disease when it comes to exercise?
One thing, I guess, to be aware of, and this is a question that we do get quite a lot through emails, is how much exercise is too much. People are obviously intense exercise can increase creatinine levels, which typically is just in the shorter term. But obviously, if you have kidney disease, and then your kidneys obviously are less able to process that creatinine. So we do get some questions about that. I mean, generally we see that in people who really it's vigorous exercise. So people who are doing really high intensity training, or marathon runners and things like that. So it's your general kind of day-to-day exercise I wouldn't be worried about. But I guess one of the key things as well to be aware of is that if you live somewhere that's hot, or it's in summer and you're exercising outside and it's quite hot and you're not drinking enough water, all of those things actually can be quite detrimental to your kidneys. So making sure that you're well hydrated, that you're not going out right in the middle of summer, in the middle of the day, and trying to do a full-on workout too is important. But I guess, my general advice is most people's level of exercise is okay for people with kidney disease. It really is that kind of vigorous, intense exercise that you do start to see changes in creatinine. One thing though I will sometimes say to clients is just if you're going for a blood test and you're going to get your kidney function tested and you do exercise quite intensely, I'd probably take the day before off. Just to make sure that we're getting a correct reading of your creatinine and we're not seeing, a post-exercise rise.
Yeah, that's very, very good advice. Okay, is there anything else when it comes to the world of exercise that we should share or let our community know?
I don't know, I guess maybe just a few, tips to get people started. And we already sort of mentioned the first one, which is start really small and build up over the time, but also make it sort of automatic. So what you want to do is, if you're just starting to exercise, is link it to some sort of trigger. So whether that be when I wake up in the morning and I see my runners sitting next to the bed, I put them on and I go for a walk. Attach it to something else that is going to remind you. And because we generally as humans work better with habits, if we're doing a habit at a similar time every day, picking a time that is generally going to be better for you. Some people like to exercise first thing in the morning, some people prefer to do it in the afternoon, whatever that is, but try to stick to that same sort of time each day. And the other great thing is, as you've already mentioned, is hold yourself accountable. So whether that be that you have a session with a personal trainer, whether that be you organise to go for a walk with a friend, once a week, or even that you've got someone else who maybe is wanting to increase their exercise and you text them after you've gone. So I think sometimes if we're accountable to someone else, I know definitely for me, that definitely makes me more likely to do what it is that I said I was going to do.
Yeah, well, like I say, definitely for me, I love exercising, but I can tell you, if I didn't have a personal trainer, I wouldn't be there 4 times a week. So, and then the other thing I wanted to mention, because you've got one on your wrist and I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail, is your Apple Watch. Things like that. Carla and I spoke about this just the other day when we were talking about heart coherence, but I find them super useful if you've got a chronic disease like kidney disease. If you're worried about your blood pressure, heart rate, all of those sort of things, and that's something that, gives you some biofeedback, and you can set some metrics up about making sure that when you exercise, you do get your heart rate up. If you feel like you might need to lose some weight, you can make sure that you're exercising within those zones. Technology is amazing. I find all of those sort of things just as an additional thing super useful to get feedback about making sure that the exercise that you do is effective in making sure it's helping you to, build cardiovascular fitness, improve blood sugar regulation. If you need to lose weight, lose weight. If you need to put on muscle, you're doing the right sort of things that way. So I think that sort of stuff's useful. Do you love your Apple Watch?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And because it gives me reminders, like if I haven't, done enough steps or whatever it is for the day, it tells me, and then I'm like, oh, okay, fine. If Apple Watch says I have to do it.
So really, if Apple tells you to do it, you're going to do it. It's good to know.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, well, mine's coming in the mail the next couple of days, so I'm excited. Awesome. All right, well, hopefully that gives you a little bit of information about why exercise is so important. If you're part of the Kidney Disease Solution, we do mention exercise and cover a lot of these topics. We also have the 5 Tibetan rites in there, which are a group of 5 different exercises that the Tibetans do that I've heard amazing stories of people just doing that every day. That takes about 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes if you do a couple of cycles, and people feel really good on that. So whatever you need to do to get your body moving, keep muscle mass up, just know that 22% reduction in decline is pretty significant. Like, medications don't work that effectively, and this is something that potentially you don't have to pay for. So get out and get exercising. I know it's getting a bit colder there in the Northern Hemisphere. We're just warming up down here, but whatever you can do inside, and YouTube videos and all of those sort of things, we don't have many excuses these days. So All right, if you like this information, make sure that you hit like and subscribe. If you hit subscribe, it means you'll get notified anytime we produce new content. If there's any specific content that you want us to talk about, make sure you leave a comment below. I do check those every day. Emily, thank you again for joining me today. It's always very useful. If you want to know more about the kidney disease solution, you can head over to our website, www.kidneycoach.com, and you'll find everything that you want to know there about our supplement range, our program, and then there's a heap of free information on there. Emily and I are writing articles pretty much every week, so you'll get a whole pile of info there for free that will help you navigate your journey with chronic kidney disease. Thanks for being part of our community, and we'll see you next time. And Emily, thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.